He stumbled upon a shocking secret hidden in their wedding photos. His wife's two fingers were crossed together, a gesture that meant she was asking God for forgiveness. This meant their marriage didn't count. The next day, Truman didn't confront her about it. Instead, he acted like everything was normal, wanting to see what this woman he'd lived with for years was really hiding. As he was leaving for work, Truman deliberately mentioned crossing his fingers to wish her luck that day. His wife froze for a moment, but then flashed him that same perfect smile before rushing off to work. Determined to get to the bottom of things, he quietly followed her to the hospital where she worked. A nurse tried everything to block his way, so Truman could only ask her to pass along a message to his wife before turning to leave. But it was all a fake out. He spun around and followed the nurse instead. A patient in a wheelchair came charging straight at him, seemingly trying to stop him, but Truman easily dodged out of the way. Then he ran into a medical worker pushing a cart down the hallway, weaving back and forth to block his path. Truman shoved the cart aside and finally made it to the operating room where his wife was supposed to be working. What awaited him was a terrible performance. Just as the lead surgeon was about to make the first cut, the supposedly anesthetized patient suddenly sat up. Truman witnessed this bizarre scene, but his discovery was just the tip of the iceberg. In reality, Truman had been born into a massive film set custom built just for him. Sea Haven Island had 5,000 cameras running 24/7. Millions of people watched him being born, and hundreds of countries tuned in to see him learn to walk. Every single move Truman made was broadcast live. He had no privacy whatsoever. For 30 years, he'd been living under the cameras without knowing it. The show was called The Truman Show, and everyone in it except Truman himself was an actor. The director would plant product placements along his daily route and in the items his wife bought. She'd often suddenly pull out some product and launch into an advertising spiel, and Truman seemed to have gotten used to these strange behaviors. That is, until one morning on his way to work when a light fixture fell from the sky and crashed to the ground. He picked it up. It was labeled Sirius, Canis Major. Truman instinctively looked up at the sky but didn't see anything unusual. This was the first time he'd encountered something he couldn't explain. Then the radio announced that a plane had malfunctioned and dropped some parts, so he didn't think much more about it. But Truman had his own secrets too. At work, he'd secretly called to ask about a place called Fiji and a woman named Sylvia, though he never got anywhere.